Hey guys, and welcome back to a new video. Today I'll talk about the monstrosity of a show called Riverdale. To confess to you guys, I actually watched it and liked season 1 of Riverdale when it first aired. I thought it was pretty good and I enjoyed the mystery of Jason's death, the love triangle, and that weird and creepy relationship between Miss Grundy and Archie. It actually looked pretty promising despite the awkward, slightly cringy moments, but I was there for the ride. Until season 2. I only watched a couple of episodes in season 2 and then I said nope. It wasn't as interesting anymore, so I quit on Riverdale. And thank God I did because it was all downhill from there. I mean, what the hell did this show become? I only see funny moments every now and then online, like this.
Hark, there she be. Follow me, your Griffin Queen.
And like this.
To settle this matter once and for all. Maestro?
Okay, Cheryl.
That's not my name!
Cheryl.
I hear that word!
And I think who the hell is watching this? And why? So I tried to see it for myself, but I couldn't. So instead I watched a couple of recap videos of the show on YouTube, and I think now I understand why this show is so successful. I think it has to do with 3 main elements. 1, their consistency. This was one of the only shows that kept production through the COVID pandemic. I'm looking at you, Euphoria. Number 2, it's simple. You can watch it without having to focus all the time. And 3 is the attractive cast that doesn't even look like teenagers. So without further ado, here's the recap of the final season to Riverdale that literally no one asked for. Enjoy. So episode 1. The new mystery is the auteur, who has sent them another creepy video of a group of people enacting the murder of Mr. Honey. Jughead and Betty are led to David, the manager of the Blue Velvet video store, in order to gain entry to David's underground movie club, where they're convinced they'll find the auteur. Cheryl and Tony's relationship appears to be on the rocks. Tony tells Cheryl after prom that her grandmother has forbidden their romance because Cheryl's ruthless family screwed over Tony's relatives in the past. Tony promises to work on her nana, but it doesn't look good. Betty and Jughead make it to the underground film club. They spot someone in an owl mask who might be the auteur, but before they can get to them, they bump into Jughead's little sister Jellybean, who's really much too young to be there. This distraction gives the auteur, or whoever it was, time to get away. In prom, Archie decides to come clean. A romantic song he wrote that Ronnie found in his trash was actually inspired by Archie's kiss with Betty, so Archie and Veronica break up. Episode 1 ends with Archie finding a video on his doorstep. It's a reenactment of the Black Hood putting a gun to his head. There's a singing scene, of course. Veronica spoke French for absolutely no reason.
Bonsoir, bienvenue, mes amis.
And Archie was in a boxing match, cause why not? Episode 2 begins with Betty getting a 3 a.m. phone call from Jughead's jail nemesis Brett. He promises to share a secret they'll really want to hear. Betty and Jughead go to the prison to seal the deal, but it's too late. Brett has been found dead with his eyes gouged out. They suspect it was David. Veronica is attacked by mafia thugs outside the diner.
Your daddy killed our daddy as payback. So guess what I'm gonna do to you?
She's saved by half-sister Hermosa. Ronnie and Hermosa plot a hostile takeover of the family business, which only makes Hiram more determined to stay in control. But by the end of the episode, they've packed him off on a sabbatical to the Cayman Islands, leaving their mom Hermione free to end their marriage and pursue her dream of becoming a real housewife. Cheryl seeks to reinvent the Blossom family name. She tries to persuade her relatives to reopen their factory and rebrand Blossom maple syrup. They refuse out of spite, so Cheryl's mom, Penelope, has them all killed and makes it look like a suicide pact. Meanwhile, Archie is going all emo and spirals out of control after catching his mom watching the video recreation of his traumatic encounter with the Black Hood, and doesn't just destroy the tape, but the TV too, for absolutely no reason. Betty and Jughead receive a phone call informing them that Joan, one of Brett's schoolmates, has been murdered. Another creepy videotape from the auteur arrives. Betty is sure that Charles bugged the place and decides to confront him. He confesses to killing Brett and Joan, but insists he isn't the auteur. At this point, Jughead figures out that the mysterious tape maker is actually his little sister, Jellybean. Jughead tells his dad that Jellybean isn't evil. She was just trying to scare him into staying in town instead of going to college, which is pretty extreme if you ask me. This happens.
Your astrological sign might be the Scorpion, Daddy. But in fact, you're like a dog. A dog who needs to be trained.
In episode 3, everybody says goodbye to high school. Betty, who somehow managed to become the class valedictorian while also catching serial killers and defusing bombs with bobby pins, gives a speech. On the bleachers, the four of them make a vow that in a year, no matter what, they'll meet back at Pop's and it will become a yearly tradition. Archie then tells them that he joined the army, he leaves for basic training in the morning, and Veronica's not happy about it. That night, Betty tells Jughead about the kiss. Then, through both their tears, they sleep together. Jughead takes Archie to the bus stop in the morning. Veronica and Betty want to say goodbye, and Betty has an idea. I can't with this show, guys. Then they all say goodbye. One by one, their group falls apart, and Jughead is the only one remaining. But 1 year later, he actually returns, and yet, he's the only one.
All around me are familiar faces.
Episode 4 is supposed to be 7 years into the future, and they literally didn't bother making them look a little different. Maybe give them a different hairstyle or the guys some facial hair. Except for that little half mustache that Jughead has, they all look exactly the same. Archie is sent back home to Riverdale to relaunch the ROTC program at Riverdale High. Archie catches up with everyone and realizes that the town is different, so he decides to bring everyone back. And then we see what everyone else is at now. Betty is an FBI trainee, Veronica is married, Jughead is a writer. At Pop's, Archie finds Veronica, Betty, and Jughead all waiting for him in their usual booth. In episode 5, they learn that Hiram is trying to reduce Riverdale to rubble so his nearby housing development Sodale can thrive. Archie's house has been rented out to the ghoulies, so Archie and the gang then take matters into their own hands by raiding the house. Archie gets his house back, and after he and Betty get super sweaty cleaning it up, to save water of course, they hop in the shower together. Jughead is nearly $10,000 in debt, and the debt collectors are looking for him. He takes a job at Pop so he can start paying them off. Ronnie is still being suffocated by her controlling stockbroker husband Chad. Then the episode ends with Polly running away from a truck that's chasing her down a highway. Episode 6 is officially the first day of school, again, for the Riverdale group. Meanwhile, Betty's more worried about Polly's recent disappearing. There's more singing. Jughead seeks out an interview subject for a story about a mysterious Mothman. It turns out to be some ghost story about alien-like abductions, cause why not? Betty and Alice find Polly's wallet and shoes on the side of the highway, which is not a good sign.
Nothing. We have no leads. She could be anywhere. We didn't find Polly's cell phone. No. So we can trace it through the phone company.
Polly's cell phone location leads Betty, Alice, and Kevin to a swamp at night, and they hear her ringtone in the distance. Kevin tracks it right to a dead body, but we don't know if it's Polly or not. The episode ends with Archie and Jughead discovering that their front porch and back porch are both on fire. Episode 7 begins with Jughead quickly explaining how he and Archie put out the massive fire that was surrounding the entire house. Get this, with 2 fire extinguishers. Archie decides he's going to reopen Riverdale's fire department.
Best counterattack is not to fight fire with fire, but to fight fire with a fire department.
Veronica spends the episode trying to reinvigorate Riverdale's economy, literally by creating her own currency. Cheryl tries to take the Vixens back from Tony, the only way she knows how, with an awkward dance-off.
Jesus, Mary and Joseph.
By the end of the episode, Tony and Tom identify 21 missing girls in and around town. Jughead, who is now obsessed with the Mothman mystery, experiences a whole X-Files moment in episode 8. Kevin and Fangs announce to the gang that they're engaged and having a baby. Tony's baby, actually. The three of them are going to raise the baby together, and Cheryl is angry, of course. Then she offers to throw Tony, Kevin, and Fangs a party. Cheryl offers to raise Tony's baby with her, but Tony shuts her down.
To have a normal friendship with you. That was my mistake. I should have just left our relationship where it belongs. In the past.
Jughead is still seeing aliens everywhere he looks and joined the support group for fellow ET believers, revealing to Tabitha that he's blacked out once before. Alice got a phone call from someone saying she's Polly, and Betty was skeptical. But then Betty got a call from her too, and they followed her call to the smashed phone booth covered in blood.
I dropped out in the 4th grade to run drugs to support my nana.
That means you haven't known the triumphs and defeats, the epic highs and lows of high school football.
Hi, it's fucking Mickey. If you were passionate about a business, then you would know what it takes to run a fucking business. But you don't. So don't even act like you're about the Disney life, bitch.
No more pencils, no more books, no more teachers' dirty looks.
We are going to pretend we didn't hear that.
Thank you for watching, guys. This was just part 1. I covered episodes 1 to 8. If you want me to do a part 2, where I cover the rest of the season, like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, and I'll see you next week.